fellas. Look here. Stand by.
One for C-Lab, two for Troy Eagle, three for Wolverine to round out the trio. In this episode, everybody dies.
Broadcasting live from inside the Power Band, this is The Blob. In this episode, everybody dies. I'm your host, the Wolverine, also known as Cousin of Knife of Cobra, along with my good friend C-Slab, also known as Chad is Now Porkins.
What's up?
Welcome to the show, folks. This week, as Benny is away on important state business, Chad and I decided to dive into the military genre once again, and we're doing 2011's Tinker, Tailor Soldier Spy, starring literally every great British actor that is like working right now. Gary Oldman, Colin Firth, Mark Strong, Toby Jones, Hardy, blah, 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 Cucumber Patch. Anyway, let's dig in.
High level. You go first, man. You said you fell asleep the first 17 times you tried this. I want to hear what you got to say.
Yeah, this looked really... Okay, so this looked really interesting to me. It came up on like Netflix or whatever, and I was like, dude,
like
Gary Oldman, how can I go?
Yeah.
I would say, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, I was like, dude,
okay.
Gary Oldman, how could I go wrong? I looked a couple other John Hurt, how could I go wrong? And I just, like, I fell asleep literally like 7 times trying to watch this before bed.
Dude, yeah.
It is. That. So I just gave up, and I was like, I'll watch this again some other time, you know? And then it went off Netflix, whatever. So I'm really glad that we picked this movie. And it was a slow burn. It was excellent. It's really a complex story, and the way that it's shot and told, this is not a knock in any way against it. I still had a little bit of trouble understanding some of the things, some of the events, because I felt like there was some kind of flashback action going on, but I wasn't even 100% sure about that. So aside from that, like, really enjoyed it, man. I mean, the cast is excellent. Like, everything is great. You know, it's a spy movie. It takes place in the 60s in London. It's like, what's not to like?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, I'll leave it there for now.
Yeah, sick. Yeah, I mean, same. I think as many a time when we do an episode versus just watch a movie, you end up seeing it through a different, lens, aka analyzing it a bit. And I didn't enjoy it as much on the analytical watch as I did on the, like, watch it for the sake of watching it watch, but it's still really good. It's very much a deep end of the pool. There's a million things going on, and it's hard to keep track of things, even on your 6th watch, let alone your first.
Oh, is that right?
I mean, it's just information dense, So even if you know the vibe, and the whodunitness is not necessarily the main driver of the rewatch. Even on this rewatch, I forgot who it was at the end. I was like, oh, I think it's that guy. Yeah, because I only watched it like fucking 4 months ago or something. But even then, I was like, I can't really remember.
Right.
And the way that they do the, like, is it him with the squinty eyes?
The way it unfolds, with the squinty
eyes? Like, you kind of don't.
Totally.
They play it well.
Yeah.
But even without knowing who or remembering who, there's a lot to absorb. And it was interesting because, like, I was halfway through and I was like, oh, this is a fucking whodunit. I hate whodunits. Like, we've been watching a little bit of random stuff here and there at home here, and I just did realize I just really don't enjoy whodunit mysteries. I just don't care. I don't care who it is.
Right.
I don't care who the murderer was or the serial killer was or any of that kind of shit. And I think
even wrapped in spy blanket.
Well, that's what I think. I think when it's wrapped in a spy blanket, I'm more open to it.
Sure.
Maybe because a
la Anne Cathcart, the Cathcart affair.
The Cathcart affair, of course. I think because I think it's wrapped in statecraft. I just find the statecraft stuff really interesting. And we've talked about it before. Everyone, get your shot glasses ready. But in the world of geopolitics, like, people do things that you don't normally do as a a human, you know, like the immorality of statecraft and the immorality of geopolitics is like fascinating to me.
Same here.
You know, one of the things I was potentially wanting, I didn't think of it at the time we were discussing what to do, but there's like Fog of War and Why We Fight, two really amazing documentaries. One of which is like an interview with McNamara. We've talked about it before in a twofer. And like, I don't know, it's just really interesting. So I think that is what it is. I just normally don't give a fuck about whodunits. And I think I also kind of don't really care who did it in this movie so much as I enjoy the kind of cat and mouse of Smiley versus the Russian, you know? I can't remember his name.
Which is great.
Yeah. Carla.
Like,
so
it was like,
I mean, like the Carla thing, the Carla Smiley thing, and then the like Benedict Cumberbatch under Smiley's wing, kind of bringing somebody up with you, kind of mentorship thing, and then you got the like Mark Strong angle where he's kind of like pushed out, and it's just there's so much interesting stuff going on. That's the
thing.
It really keeps
it
you
is
hooked.
so No, you said it. Information dense.
Yeah.
Like almost too much to keep track of. In fact,
Way
I just
too much.
finished it I finished it like 45 minutes ago or whatever, right before we started, and like I was like, I can't wait to watch this again when I can like sit and absorb it again. And I legitimately, even though I watched it on my phone and I had to watch it in a couple of chunks, I did like I was like sucked in. I was like into it, but at the same time I was like, wait, what is going on here?
Because I could totally see, not you necessarily, but I could see someone going the other way, where even if you're into this kind of thing, it's such a slow burn that I could see people just bouncing off of it even now when it's like you have to watch it, you know? Like, I totally get the falling asleep thing, but like, if it's like, no, we're going to talk about this, you need to watch it, just be like, oh my God, it's such a slog. You know, I could totally see someone going that way with it, even though it's
I could totally see it too.
And stuff.
It's kind of hard. Like these guys, man, when they're up on this, out doing their thing, dude, you're just like, wow. I'm just like watching them. Wow, I can't take my eyes off them. All of them. These guys are great. These guys are like the best of the best. These are the British guys, and it's like they're better trained than like anybody else. Like the Americans, the Australians, like in terms of acting, training, they're the best.
Yeah,
they really
there's
are.
No
Man.
doubt
Like,
about
these
it. The
guys
cast
are
is
phenomenal.
mega, like unreal. Unfucking real. The
like every time you
gravitas.
think like, wow, yeah, exactly. Every time you think that like you're like, oh my God, this guy's in it too. It's so amazing. Like two more awesome guys show up in the next scene, dude. And then like you even had
Stephen
Konstantin Kaben. Well, Stephen Graham, yeah, but you had Konstantin Kabensky, who played one of the Russians, right? He is a big Russian actor, right? So I was watching it, and I was like, where do I know this fucking guy from, man? I know this guy. It turns out he's like the star of Night Watch, Day Watch. Two Russian movies that kind of broke out into the rest of the world. And like, so like, yeah, it's just like thick with great actors.
It really is. And like, I think we've talked about it because we've done a few movies with Gary Oldman, but like, I still, to this day, think he is probably my choice for greatest living actor. Like, he is just a fucking juggernaut, dude. And especially here, I just really love Smiley where, I don't know, it's like, there's a version of this movie where it's maybe not Gary Oldman, and there's the scenes where someone asks Smiley a question, and then his response is just silence, and they're like, okay, you know? And, like, there's a version of this where it's funny, but in this version, it is just, like, the perfect the perfect response is that he just doesn't respond. There's, like, a scene in the Citron with Benedict where Cumberbatch where he says something. He's like, what did they do about this thing? And then he's just silent. He's like, yeah, I thought so too. You know, it's just so perfect, man. And then he switches it on too, and it was like so Gillum, Benedict Cumberbatch's character, is with Smiley, and Smiley's talking about when he met Carla, and he's like, "Yeah, I met him, and he was like this and that and this and that," and he's like, "And what did he say?" And then it just changes to him, Clint Eastwood acting to an empty chair, and it was just like fucking amazing. You know, it was like really cool, man. Really cool.
It was, and the other thing too is that it was very like, I mean, I'm assuming because I don't really know like spycraft, statecraft myself. but it seemed like all that stuff was very in line with that line of work, like that world, right? That like saying less, you know what I mean? Like
Sure.
speaking less, you know?
Yeah,
like less
totally
is more.
think that
like,
makes sense.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
You just don't know what you're going to give away. I mean, it rhymes with a don't say shit if you get arrested by the popo, you know? Like, you just don't know. Right. You don't know what the information is going to be. And I think that scene in particular where Oldman's talking about Carla, you kind of think it's conversational. He's reenacting and or sharing a conversation. And then at the end, he's like, he didn't say a word, you know? So it wasn't a conversation. Carla was just absorbing information. And in that conversation, found Smiley's weakness of his wife and stole his lighter, you know? Like, it's just
so crazy.
Unfucking real. The craftiness, you know?
It is. Yeah. It is. It's like layers and levels.
And I'm sure it's way over cool factor dramatized, even though it is closer to real spycraft. You know, John le Carré is a pseudonym for an actual person who worked at MI5, MI6. Like, so like there's probably a level of reality, but there's probably also a little bit of, you know, judging of the reality. But whatever, you know, like I imagine the Cold War, I'm sure there was some crazy shit going on, you know?
Oh my God, dude. And this was like the heart of it, dude. Where it was like, you know, well, maybe not the heart of it, but like
pretty much though,
definitely
like,
when it was popping, dude. That's for sure. Yeah, and it was like everything was critical because you didn't know, and it was like everybody had nuclear weapons, and it was like, oh my God, you're like one wrong thing, and it's like we're all goners. Like, what's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree with you, man. You know, it just it adds to the tension. It adds to the what's the word I'm looking for? Like, you know, it ups the stakes. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, it does.
You know, it raises the stakes. It makes it more like tense and anxiety inducing, and you're just like, wow, come on.
Yeah, totally.
You know,
I just started watching this series from the 70s. Let me just get the name of it. I think it's
while you're thinking of that, you have to watch The Americans. I've said it numerous times. Like,
is that the one with
the best? Matthew
Felicity?
Reese and Carrie. Yep, and Carrie.
I started
Carrie
watching
Russell.
it and I kind of couldn't get into it.
Well, power through whatever's
Do it
bugging you
again.
because it just gets
It was
so
interesting.
goddamn good, dude.
It was interesting. I didn't get sucked in. I bounced off of it after a few episodes. It doesn't mean I didn't like it. It just wasn't maybe.
Yeah, as you start getting in, as it really starts getting like deeper into their lives and like how deeply they're embedded as spies. Like, I mean, it's just
it's crazy.
nuts, dude.
So yeah, the world at war.
This was a 70s show.
Yeah, so it was like the first. I think it's like the first major 26 episode British documentary television series from
So it's a
73,
docu-series.
narrated by Laurence Olivier. Like, it's really good, dude. Yeah,
Wow,
I'll find a truck that can deliver it to your house. And
Jesus. And is that like that's about the Cold War?
no, it's about the World War II. And let me just see. So like each episode's like an hour long or whatever, and it's almost exclusively just footage of the war, and then it's like interviews with people that were in it when they're like 60, 70 years old. So this is like actual conversations with all of the diplomats, all of the government people, like all kinds of stuff. And the reason I bring it up is because like I was watching an episode on the fall of France, the initial invasion of France in 1940, where this one French, I don't even know the term, like congressperson from around that time was talking, and he was like, all of the officials were so worried about their careers that they weren't really paying attention. They weren't focused on the fact that Hitler was invading or about to invade their country. They were focusing on how they could preserve their power or get the upper hand, et cetera, et cetera. So there was like infighting in the government as opposed to focusing on the important thing. And they were cocky, you know, like the same guy earlier was like, you know, we made the same mistake that everyone else does when they win. They think that they're good, you know, like, so like a few weeks before Hitler invades or whatever, they have like a parade on the last Bastille Day, and they're the biggest military in the world, and like the newspapers are like, French have the best military on earth, and the Maginot Line is like the largest fortress ever built, and it's like hundreds of feet underground, and they take trains to cinemas and cafeterias down there, and they have pillboxes, and the Germans just go around them and absolutely fuck them up.
Wow.
And this
meth.
politician was like, everyone thought they were the hot shit, and they were just infighting to get power. And then as soon as the Nazis take over, there was a group of people in the government that saw the way the winds were blowing and were like, well, we just want jobs with the Germans. And so like even then, even when the country was like absolutely falling and, you know, the tanks were rolling through fucking Paris, these, you know, politicians were trying to seek power. And so like I bring it up because it was like
that's what they do. Yeah,
it is what they do, you know, like they're fucking scumbags. But like the scenes in the like random ass caravan in the circus where they're like sitting around, like the infighting and the power struggles and the Ally trying to take over from Control, and then like the alliances and the backstabbing and
what was the
really
circus? He kept
interesting.
talking about the circus. What was that? I didn't get. Was that like just the name for the?
Yeah, the circus is the
headquarters?
fictional name for MI6. So it's essentially like either proto MI6, like before it is officially MI6, or it's an analogy for MI6 because it's a fictional world. So like it's obviously a fictional universe, but the circus is because this secret building was in Cambridge Circus in London. So they just call it the circus as a slang term for MI6 headquarters, essentially.
Sure. In the literature, like the description, it says MI6.
Yeah, which is basically what it is.
Right. But then, like, when you see the letterhead, it just says Secret Intelligence Service, but whatever.
Yeah. Well, I kind of take it, like, as there's another one, it's not the same at all, but The Good Shepherd with De Niro and...
Never saw that one.
It's good. It's like, it's the beginnings
Isn't
of
Matt
CIA.
Damon in that?
Yeah, Matt Damon, yeah. It's the beginnings of CIA, you know, and so I always took this as the beginnings of MI6, or like as MI6 is becoming established, and the circus is the slang term for proto-MI6. But either way, it's either that and or just a, you know, fictional name that sounds cool. But it's essentially just, MI6. But like, yeah, Control, John Hurt, like how can you go wrong with fucking John Hurt? Like John Hurt trying to like herd the kittens, you know, like all these dudes are fucking yelling at each other in the room in the beginning, you know, and then all of the different who's sitting in the big boy chair stuff. It's just all that infighting. It just reminded me of that French dude talking about, you know, going after your power and trying to make your mark as opposed to like seeing the forest for the trees and what's important. Like that scene at the end where Colin Firth is like, I made my mark. It's like, fuck you, dude. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's that. It's those layers.
It's weird.
I think that I enjoy the most.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. And there's lots of layers here, and I think that's what's makes this movie such candy. You know what I mean? There's so many layers. It's so cool. It's so information dense. There's just a lot going on, and it works great for a spy movie. And it's like, so be it if you have to watch it 5 times. Like, good. I don't care. I'll watch it again. This is great.
Yeah.
To get all the bits, to get all the layers, you know?
And it's, I don't know, maybe you tell me. I would assume the level of delight happens on the first watch as well as multi-watch. She knows it's a multi-watch. The subtle things. It's like there's a scene where Tom Hardy is being convinced to go to Paris to set up the last kind of bait and switch trap. And he's like, I'll do it if you go and get Irina or Alina out of there.
I was just thinking about that scene. Yeah, that's so weird.
And it cuts to Gary Oldman, who's just like, I'll do what I can. Because he knows, because he spoke with Mark Strong, that she got her fucking brains blown all over the wall when Mark Strong was getting interrogated. So like, he knows that she's dead. But what's he going to do? Be like, actually, dude, sorry, Irina's dead. He's going to be like, well, I'm not fucking doing, I got nothing to live for. I'm going to go get drunk in a bar. But he's like, I'll do what I can. You know, he's manipulating to get the thing that he needs done in the interests of national security, all this, that, the other. But it's just like, it's those little twists, those little subtle manipulations that, I don't know, maybe are fascinating or maybe are, I don't know what the word is, but.
No, I think those things are fascinating. Yeah, sure. I think those things are fascinating. I actually didn't realize that she was the same girl that was with Hardy. Like when they brought her into the room with Mark Strong and then they blew her brains out, I just did not put it together.
Yeah. And when you do, maybe on the second watch, you're like, oh, fuck, that's hardcore, dude. Because it's like, totally. That's Tom Hardy's thing. He's like, I got to get out of this. My hands are dirty. I want a family. Fuck you guys. And it's like, you're not getting out of it.
Yeah,
bro.
He says, I don't want to end up like you.
You're not. You're too late, dude. You're not getting out of it. There's no happy ending. It's hardcore, dude. It's so just hardcore.
That world, that world is really like that. It's like you either love power. Yeah. You either love power and control, or you love, like actual love, right?
Yeah, sure.
That's how you get a family. That's how you get kids, right?
Or there's that layer where I feel like empires lose it. But I particularly liked Cumberbatch's character, who was doing it because it was the thing that needed to be done. Like breaking up with his boyfriend, and that scene with him. You need to clean it up. Him just being like, we can't be together anymore. And the guy's like, you can tell me if there's somebody else. And he just sits there. He's just like, I can't risk this guy's life. I can't risk the life of this guy that I love. So I'm going to have to cut it off. And he will think I'm an asshole. But like, I just can't, because this needs to happen. Like, we need to find the mole,
Was he gay?
Yeah.
I didn't even pick up on that. I thought that was Hardy.
No. So, Cumberbatch goes in and does his fucking Ocean's 11 trip and runs into the girl who's flirting with him in the bag room. And he's not giving her the time of day. Edith from fucking Downton Abbey. And wow. And then he sits down with Oldman. He's like, they're going you have to assume they're following you now. You need to clean up anything that you need to clean up. And so he goes to his apartment and sits down with his boyfriend. He's like, we can't do this anymore because it's too risky. Because either he gets exposed and blackmailed for the fact that he's gay, or his partner gets got. So he just is like, I can't do this. And so he's sacrificing his love, to your point, for the greater good of getting this fucking mole out of MI6. Not because he's power hungry, but because he wants to get rid of the mole. It's like not an honor thing, but it's like a sacrifice. I think the sacrifice piece is really interesting.
Yeah. I think you're right about that. No, you're definitely right about that.
Because you got like an Alaline, Toby Jones, who seems to be above board, but also wanting to be in charge / the power. But I don't get that from Cumberbatch, And I don't necessarily get that from Oldman either. Like, I don't think he wants the power. He just wants to clean house. He wants what's in the best interests of the Empire, for the fucking Queen or whatever,
And there are those people, man. It's like,
and those are the people that I admire. Like, it's a dirty world.
Same.
And many want power, or many want to hurt people, or whatever the fuck. But there are the group of people that maybe has diminished. I'm assuming that there is a diminishment of that, but like, it's the people that sacrifice for the right reasons that it's like, fuck, man, I admire that. There's stars on the wall.
I admire that a lot too.
I admire that. And for me, it's like, nah, man, I'm good. I want my kids and my wife. Thank you. Thanks to you for making it so that I can do this.
I think like certainly around World War II, when
it was clear.
A lot of those men had a lot of character. You know what I mean? And also were raised with a good. I'm trying to say this the right way. Like, they were raised with like a solid moral foundation, right? And then those guys go into that type of work, and it's like they do that. They do what you just said. They sacrifice for everybody else, and they do good for the good of the country. So those people do exist for sure. You know what I mean? But you've got to have people coming from like a solid moral foundation for that.
Yeah, I don't know. I generally agree, but I'm also curious.
Or let me just add, I would think. Right.
Yeah, I
So
mean, yeah, we're just
it's more
bullshit.
discussionary rather,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Because we're
Like,
just
we're
kind
not
of batting
making
the idea
statements that
around.
we don't fucking know. Totally. So, granted, we're just having a kind of like theoretical kind of chat about it, but I just don't know how much of it is the system versus humanity. Just because you see like, I don't know, you'll see like a video of like a car crash on the highway, and like 50 people get out of their cars to help pull the person out of the car, you know? So I think at like a fundamental level, way more people are willing to do something that puts themselves at risk for the sake of others, you know? And like, I kind of feel like, I mean, it's actually one of the broader things. I didn't realize it as clearly until reading about the movie, but like, it feels like the falling of the British Empire, and or like the system is on its way down, so everyone's grabbing what they can or getting the power they can. It like incentivizes the bad behavior, because I just feel like people are better than maybe I normally think they are. But it's like, if you're judging based on actions and all you ever do is run into assholes, like you think everyone's an asshole, you know what I mean?
I was just going to say the same thing. Like, yeah, it is tricky because you're right. I mean, I can't tell you how many conversations I have in the week where it's just like, people suck. People are
I fucking
awful.
hate everyone.
Like people in the royal we kind of sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then it's like, but what you just said is entirely accurate, and that there are people that will step up. There are a lot of people that will step up and do what's right. Will help out. They'll do the right thing. They'll do whatever. Yeah, I agree with you. It's an odd dichotomy, dude. It really is.
I don't know. And so I feel like there's a lot going on in there, and we could dive way deep into it. But like, the author of the book, Le Carré, one of his main themes. I want to read the books now, because there's actually a couple other books. There's a trilogy around this exact thing. So like, I've always wanted to read Le Carré books. Yeah, and I actually picked up a couple of random Le Carré books for like $1 a piece at like a used bookstore, you know? So like, I really want to like actually read some of his stuff.
Absolutely.
But one of the main themes of this thing that you pick up on generally, but maybe not specifically, is the lady. I love the lady on the bed who's like, I'm feeling seriously underfucked, you know? She's just like, oh, my boys, you know, the good old days. And he was like, that was the war. He's like, yeah, but that's when you could be proud to be a Brit. You know what I mean? So it's like, the British Empire is losing its luster. The sun is setting on the empire that the sun never sets on. And everyone's feeling wistful about the old days when there were, you know, the Brits were more powerful. And this is, you know, the Russians and the Americans are the major players in the post-war world. And I get it. It's also kind of sad, and we're going through something similar.
It is,
you know, now where like the American empire is falling apart, and I think similar piss poor behavior or selfish behavior, you know, maybe bubbles to the surface more now than before, like over the last 30-40 years. I don't know, so maybe like 30 years. So it's just interesting, you know, like there's just so much social commentary wrapped up in a spy movie that it reminds me kind of like The Wire in a way, where it's like you're inundated with information, but a lot of interesting stuff comes out of it, you know?
Absolutely, man. Absolutely.
The failure of the British Empire thread is kind of wild.
Failure or decline, or both?
Decline is probably a better word, but I mean, both, I suppose.
I don't know. I feel like the decline, like, you know, when they like,
it's still declining. I mean, look at fucking Brexit, dude. Like all that kind of shit. It's bananas.
They have like no colonies anymore either.
Which,
like, they had, like,
one could say is probably a good thing.
I mean, it is a really.
I mean,
good
we
thing.
are. We're in
they,
the Commonwealth in Australia, for example. You know, so
okay, fair, but like I'm talking like India, Hong
legit
Kong, like places like that. Like those places are gone.
Gone,
you know? They don't have.
Well,
those
the empire
anymore,
is essentially non-existent. The empire is just as relevant. I mean, as an American sitting in Australia, I have no idea what I'm talking about, so I might piss people off. But hey, I'm an American. That's my job. But like,
sure.
I would argue that the British Empire is as relevant as the king is to the British power structure. Like, the king has no power. He just fucking walks around cutting ribbons all day, fucking tending his random-ass gardens that he makes. Like, cool. Good for him.
They multiply their money. They just spend their time multiplying their money.
There's no power there, you know? It's just like, oh, cool, there's the king in his fucking castle carriage, whatever. Who gives a shit? Like, there's just no power. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I would, it feels like you have a global power that the sun sets on, and there's nothing there, And that scene where, Smiley's talking to those ministers who think they're the hot shit, and he's like, "Nah, man, they're feeding you this so they can get to the Americans. They don't give a fuck about you. You want to take credit for that, do you?" And he's like, "Oh, what can we do, Mr. Smiley?"
Right. Right.
They're just getting played because no one gives a fuck about the Brits in this movie. Right. They want to get the Yanks. So I don't know. It's definitely a multi-watcher. I think I think it's like a 2 or 3 or 4 once a year kind of. Once a year where you've forgotten that it's Colin Firth, and then you're like, "Oh yeah, right." By the end.
Right. I didn't. So like, let's jump to the end for a second. So Mark Strong, because like the hardest thread that I had understanding, the thread that I had the hardest time understanding. Let me speak in quasi proper English. Was Mark Strong's. So he's in the very beginning. We see him in Hungary. He gets shot. Later on, then we think he's dead. Then you think he's dead. The viewer, you think the viewer, you think he's dead. Then later on, we find out that he was not, in fact, dead.
Yeah.
And then, but then there's these other bits of him like teaching in this school. I assumed those were like flashbacks, like the interaction with the kid, like all that stuff. Like, see, that's to me, like, this is what makes this movie like an absolute multi-watch. Like I was like, I was so lost with the Mark Strong part, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh no, this is all going on right now, and then he shoots Colin Firth.
Yeah,
and I was like, wait, what? But so was he MI6?
Yes.
Okay.
And then B, was he a double agent? I went 2 ways with it until reading about it, and it turns out no.
He's not a double agent. But the film leaves it open to interpretation.
I don't actually know if it does. Well, I think what it is having read about it a bit, there's so in the books, Benedict Cumberbatch is not gay. And so none of that sacrifice in the homosexual of the time, anti-homosexual shit is not relevant to his character. It's the same scene, I think, where like he leaves his girlfriend or whatever for the same reason, to protect her. But it's strongly implied that Mark Strong and Colin Firth are an item. And so
wait, you're saying in the book or in
the book? In the book, it's implied in Tinker Tailor, and then I think in another book it's confirmed that they were colleagues and lovers. And so I think the assassination at the end is more betrayal of Mark Strong by Colin Firth, and I don't know, maybe like wistfulness to a degree, more than anything else. But my watching of it, not knowing anything about it, I always took it as either Mark Strong's unhappy, like the betrayal of his best mate being a spy, and he now is like, "Fuck you, man, I'm going to shoot you to clean things up." Or it's his best mate, and he shoots him to keep him quiet because he's also potentially a double agent. So I think the ambiguity that I always assumed was one of those two. It's either you betrayed your best mate and fuck you, bro, now I have to shoot you, you son of a bitch. Like, I don't want to do this. This breaks my heart. Or he's a double agent.
Sure.
I think those two things are a little bit more interesting to me. But the like fact that Colin Firth is, bi, or maybe he's not even bi, which is actually maybe more interesting for Colin Firth, where he's actually gay, but he fucks Oldman's wife. That scene where he's like, there's nothing personal when he's fucking the dude's wife. Where like Smiley.
What do you mean?
Well, there's like, Colin Firth is making out with Oldman's wife, Anne, at the Christmas party, and Oldman sees them and keeps quiet about it and is gutted. And then later,
that's who that was.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not very clear.
Well,
but
it's not clear until Colin
you see
Firth
him
is
putting his shoes on.
Yeah, then you put 2 and 2 a little bit.
Even then, I don't think it's very clear.
Yeah. So Colin Firth seduces Oldman's wife, at the Christmas party,
Sure.
and then is
Right.
fucking her while he's in Germany, and he comes back early. And so, like, it seems like a heartbreaking Oldman is lost his wife, she cheated on him, boo-hoo affair, but it actually, at the last thing, when he finally talks to Colin Firth about it in the room, and Firth's like, oh, that's nothing personal, that was... Carla told me to do all that stuff, and you're just like, ouch, dude. You know, like,
Wow.
it's just so hardcore, you know? And maybe Colin Firth actually was just straight up gay and not bi, and he was just fucking Anne because it was his job, which is that even that's an interesting, different take on the Mark Strong Colin Firth thing, you know? Like, so, I don't know, any version of it is interesting, but to your point, it's not overly clear.
It's not overly clear, and like, why would he be having sex with her? It's not like she's going to be able to give him some kind of
No, he's just doing it to fuck with Smiley. He says it. He says,
oh,
if I fuck your wife, you're going to be too emotional to look closely at me and see that I'm actually the agent. Like, you're not going to see me clearly.
wow.
And he was right. You know, Carla was right. To a degree.
Oh, wow.
And then Smiley says, yes, to a degree. Because eventually, he catches him, you know? It's a multi-watch because there's so many layers to it, you know? Like, so many of the
That's just
operations are diversionary, you know?
I mean, I just asked you a question trying to clear up
And it made it more confusing.
one or two things, and now I have more crap
You're gonna go
in my
like watch it
brain,
again,
and I can't.
Yeah.
I am gonna watch it again. I might even watch it again tonight. I was so like, you know, it's just got. I love that 1970s setting. Sorry, before I said 60s, that was incorrect. I meant
whatever.
70s.
Close enough.
But I love the 1970s setting, like all that stuff. These actors, you know, London's always a cool place to shoot a movie. Like, I don't know, it's so good.
Oh,
it's so
100%.
inviting. It's like a warm blanket. I'd love to watch it again. But yeah, my head is like, it's like I ask one question and my head is filled with like 10 more questions. And like, you know, I'm like, WTF. There's so much going on here.
Yeah, there is. There is. And I mean, like, ultimately it's a Carla versus Smiley cat and mouse. Ultimately. Or
boiling it all away, yes.
Yeah.
You're right.
It's Carla versus the
it's
Brits. In this case, Smiley is the one that has the chops. He's the spy, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy.
Sure. He's the one. He's trying to root out the mole, right?
He's the one that maintains the forest from the trees, and actually executes on the need to get the mole. Yeah, and therefore sits at the big boy chair at the end of the movie, which like is 100% fitting. You know, just if you don't mind, like a diversion, also.
Please, yeah, sure.
Like that World at War series, the second episode is talking about the rise of. Well, it's not the rise of. It's like the Brits getting involved, and how, like, as you would know, being an armchair general like me, like, a lot of times when an army gets in the game, they really suck at first because they're rusty or haven't had direct combat experience, et cetera, et cetera. And so, like,
sure,
you know, in the one that we were chatting about a minute ago, the French thought they were the hot shit with their fucking horses after World War One, but World War II was a different game. Airplanes, tanks, blitzkrieg, etc. And, you know, all the old dudes that fought in the war were old dudes, and the young kids had never fought in any war. So, like, you actually got to go and get into the shit in order to sharpen up. Like, Americans were the same in North Africa, etc., etc. And, like, it was the second episode was talking about, like, Churchill and how Churchill was a naval operator and how he took some major risks in some operations. I had never heard of an operation they did in northern Norway that just went completely fucking pear-shaped. And as a result of this... Yeah, it was early World War II. And so they went... It was like the Russians invaded Finland, and the Brits and the French were trying to help, but they kind of weren't. Like, the French were sitting on their asses trying... Like, this... They weren't helping. And Churchill convinced the prime minister to do an operation in northern Norway to try and, I think it was to blow up a oil refinery or something. And they just fucked it up so bad. They fucked it up so fucking bad. Like, they dropped all of these Brits in, and it was like snowstorm shit, and they had skis, but they didn't have straps for their skis, and they only had machine guns, and they landed, and the Germans had like fucking artillery and tanks. Like, it was just so fucking bad. It was just
Wow.
disaster.
No straps for the skis.
Yeah, it was a fucking disaster. And I'd never heard of this operation. And so, like, it went totally tits up. And as a result of Churchill's operation going tits up, the prime minister got booted. And so when he got booted, there were two people. And it wasn't necessarily intentional, I don't think. Like, they weren't implying it was shady. But, like, the two people that were up to be potential successors was this one dude and Churchill. And they were interviewing these MPs and lords from the House of Lords and the House of Commons, I don't know, whatever the fuck. And they were like, we didn't, like, the guy chose Churchill and we were all pissed because he's like a blowhard, you know? So this is before Churchill makes his name as the legendary person who, you know, and so
we know him today,
that we know him for now. And like the main consensus was like the dude is a fucking huge risk taker. And the takeaway for me was like, you don't succeed, you don't save your country without taking major fucking risks. And these dudes were like, we wanted someone who wouldn't take crazy risks because we didn't want to risk Britain. But like it was the opposite decision that should have happened. Like the situation was so fucked that you by definition had to take the risk, seemingly. And
100%.
if you don't take the risk, then just like the French, the country falls completely. And so the takeaway for me was it was the risk. He was like so willing to take risks that that's what ended up paying off. And I think like a Smiley here isn't necessarily taking risks per se. Like he is kind of like sending Gilliman to do some Ocean's 11 shit or whatever. But it's like the guys that sit around in their fucking hands, or the people that sit around in their fucking hands thinking that a miracle is going to happen. It's just not going to happen. And so you're just like, you need to actually do the thing. You got to like, you got to do it.
It's just like those French politicians you were talking about. You know what I mean? Like why the army fell apart, because like all of those politicians were just exactly what you're saying.
They had no backbone. And nobody, I mean, I would hate to be in a position where you got to make you have two bad options. You got to pick one. Like nobody wants to be in that scenario, but
somebody's got to step up and make the decision. Right. Exactly. Somebody's got to step up and make the decision. So it's like, it's hard. It's hard to do, man, to have backbone and be decisive. You know what I mean? It's like, but it's necessary. You know, you got to have somebody that's willing to do it. And most of the time, and then that's like another dichotomy is that like when it comes, like you will have people that will step up and do the right thing, right? So it's like, yes, people suck, right? We've established that. People are horrible, people suck. And then it's like, yes, most people will step up, will do the right thing. And then when it comes to leading and making decisions, most people will not step up because they don't want to be at the top. No, they don't.
Well, I mean, we're
and
like,
then you have
baseline tribal animals, you know, like preservation of the tribe is preservation of the individual by going along with the herd is like baseline instinctual.
And they say that people fear getting up in front of people more than like death itself. You know what I mean?
Which makes
like,
sense.
Even though it's not,
you're being judged.
Even though it's not exactly that. Like you're up there. You know what I mean? And then of course you've got all the people that are the wrong people. Then they all want to be like jumping up to be leader. And it's like no.
It's the one that doesn't want to be the leader. That's the one you want to lead, right? Yeah. Exactly. And I think Smiley fits that bill here. You know, I just love how quiet he is.
But I do. I think that's fantastic, right? Because less is more. We've talked about that with acting. We've talked about that with so many different things, right? And I agree with you. Here is a great, like maybe the best example of that out of all the movies we've talked about that, and this might be
outside of like an Eastwood Western silent type. You know?
Maybe,
it's
but not even. It's a totally different thing. Like this may be the penultimate example, right? You know, and it's like and fitting coming from the guy that you arguably say is possibly the greatest
for me
actor. And you may be right about that, man. He is definitely unbelievable, right? And he's still sharp is, right? So
he's the one that's willing to step up into the leadership. Well, we were talking about the leadership thing.
Right. So he is willing to step, but to me, he seems like he's doing it for the right reasons. Like you said earlier, right? Yeah. He seems like he's doing it for the right reasons and like, you know, doing that dirty thing taking that hit to his morality, his character, his integrity, even. You know what I mean? To do the right thing for the greater good. Like like you said, I admire that. You know, I admire that too.
Obviously, it's a story, but there's enough grains of truth to it where there's nothing wrong with admiring a fictional version of doing the right thing.
No, dude. I just read like the littlest, like I typed in Tinker Tailor the books on Wikipedia just to see but it just I very quickly read just a couple quick things, and like he got a lot of information from actual MI6 and MI6 events. You know?
Yeah, sure.
So
I mean, he was in MI6, so it would make sense.
LaCar was in MI6.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah, he's a pseudonym. He's a Brit. He's in the movie, actually. Evidently, he's
the actual guy.
Yeah, he cameos in the party scene where I think they're singing the Russian national anthem with the Stalin Santa.
What?
He
really?
has like a tweed suit and a red tie and stands up and cheers. So he's not like a unknown person. He's known, which is kind of cool.
So that is very cool, dude. Another very weird part of this movie was like when they're all at the party and then they all start singing the Russian national anthem.
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of like tongue-in-cheek,
I guess it just seemed they probably heard it about a million times. Like,
well, they would speak
and
Russian
stuff.
And Hungarian. Like, you would need to speak.
I guess I don't know. It just seems so odd. Like they all just like bust out at and they're all like in. It's like the DJ's like turning it up. You know what I mean? Like
scratching it.
It's just. I was like, wow, this is crazy, dude. Like, why is this happening?
Yeah.
And Gary Oldman's just like, John Hurt's over there going.
Yeah, they don't have parties like that anymore.
No, they don't, dude. If you're not sitting at the table in a coma, you're not partying.
You're not having fun. Yeah.
That's right, bro.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier the kind of like time jumpiness. It is a little disorienting because the actors aren't overly different in terms of, makeup and aging and stuff. But generally speaking, the party is the past, and there's a few scenes like Colin Firth putting his shoes on that are adjacent to that timeline, but most of it is not flashback. But it is very hard to tell the difference. I'm glad there isn't fucking 20 years ago on the screen every time to Ben's point of contention. Like, I'm glad it isn't overly beat you in the face about it, but it is a little bit.
Yeah, but using Ben's point of contention as an example, that is like, this is a movie where I can make a very strong case for let's throw some graphics up on the screen because it's like,
But I think like David Simon in the commentary for The Wire says I think it's like his commentary in episode 1 where he's like, we just wanted a fire hose of information, and it's like, it's up to you to figure it out. And I think it's the same here, where it's just like, fuck you, here's the info, watch it 5 times, fuck you.
I like that. I know. I've got
and I'm kind of on board.
I got The Wire on deck. Like, it's been on deck again, and I'm like, I gotta watch that, dude.
Yeah,
I want to watch it again. It's so damn good, dude.
It's too good.
And I think you're right about the fire hose of information. And now that you said that makes me want to watch it more. I'm getting the Conjuring series, of movies about the haunted doll or whatever.
Yeah, I don't really know anything about it, but yeah, I know generally about it.
I knew who was in it. That was about it. But it actually takes place in Connecticut, right?
Oh, okay.
And like I've been getting that from 2 different people, like separately, keep mentioning those films. Like, oh, you gotta watch that. Oh, you gotta watch that. Oh, this, that. So I think I'm gonna watch those next, and then I think I might dive back into The Wire. I got to.
Yeah, if a truck doesn't deliver some other shit to your door. Yeah, totally.
Hey. Nothing like
so I don't
Christmas
know.
in October.
That's it. I don't really know what else, other than casting out a little bit, or like are there any other plot stuff that are there any other like story threads that you think are worth chatting about?
I don't know. I feel like we kind of tackled this the best way you could, like just asking questions about particular parts and just kind of talking about it. We did talk about the books a little bit because, I mean, it's like we could spend 3 hours on the cast or whatever. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like, and then it's like to sit and actually like talk about the plot and that kind of thing is like sort of pointless because there's, like you
So
said,
much.
an information dense.
Well, thankfully, I think we've talked
Yeah.
about almost every cast member in another movie we've done, so that kind of makes me feel a little bit better about not casting out.
Right?
you know?
Totally.
But
Yeah,
I
that's
think there are
fine.
like a couple of scenes. Maybe it's a bits and bobsy scene thing. Like there were a couple of scenes that I think are interesting. So like to your point
Yeah, lay
of
it
Mark
out, dude.
Strong teaching, the scene where he walks in and he's writing on the board and the boys are all like joking around and then the owl flies in and he fucking like bats it down. I really like
Dude.
that establishment of like don't fuck with me-ism. Like the
Yeah.
kids would have just been like, whoa. And then the kid, even with the glasses and the kind of that little relationship that then kind of blows up at the end is interesting.
Yeah, I love how he one shots that owl with the yardstick. It was in the fireplace. It was like
Yeah.
trapped in the chimney,
Yeah.
and it like broke through.
And one thing I never noticed is that the owl is on the fucking wall taxidermied when
Is
Smiley
it?
visits him. It's so good, dude.
What?
I feel like that's the most like British and amazing thing ever. Where
is.
it's like you
It's
fucking
super British,
murder
dude.
an owl that's on fire, and then you're like, I'm definitely getting that motherfucker stuffed and stuck on the wall. And I just think
definitely
it's so
keeping
funny.
it. Yeah.
And imagine you're fucking in the room as the kid. You're like 12 years old, and this happens, and you'd be like, "Oh my god!" It's literally like 3 o'clock high. They're like, and then he killed an owl out of the air. You know, like
Yeah.
the legendary status thing. And then the owl's on the wall for all the other kids to come in and just be fucking terrified of Mark Strong.
He would. He would be legendary. There's
So
no
good,
question
dude.
about it.
I don't know. I really, really love that.
No, I love it too. I thought it was good. I just didn't like, again, like I could not, like, I was like, why is this guy living in a freaking caravan now?
He just had to disappear.
Right?
That's it. Simple as that.
But like, what was he like? Where did he have the caravan parked? Was it is it in the parking lot of the school? Like,
Yeah,
he's like
yeah, it
sitting there
was
shining his shoes
Next to the Dead Poet Society reading bench. Like, it was just sitting there, man. Like, whatever.
It was so bizarre.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, yeah. Let me think of something that I really loved that was good. We already talked about that Tom Hardy scene. I like that scene.
Which one?
The one where he was like, okay, but he's like, I want out. I want you to get this girl and da da
All
da
his
da.
scenes were
And
really good.
even without me knowing that the girl was the one that got her head blown off, like the way Gary Oldman dialed that in was like,
Yeah.
how he was like, you know,
We'll do what we can.
he was like, he was like, I'll do my best, and he's like, and
Yeah.
don't sit there and tell me you'll do your best. And then the way I don't know exactly what he says, but it's perfect.
Yeah.
He's like, says something like, I'll do everything in my power,
Yeah.
or something like that, and it's just perfect. And then that's like the end of the scene, and boom, they move on.
Yeah, his scenes throughout are really good, you know, like he's kind of like in the shadows, you know. Even just his intro,
Are you talking
Where-
about Hardy?
where Smiley has a little wedge of wood in his door and it's on the ground and he goes in and he's like doing the creep around, you know, but like you see a torso come down the stairs and you're like, oh man, shit's about to go down, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But then it's Ricky Tarr. And like, I don't know, man, like him looking through the binoculars across the way when like Elena or whatever her name is gets like her face bashed against the fucking window by the asshole, and then like him going over to her. And I actually really liked the scene where they're like, you know, he's like flashing her compact mirror light on her face, you know, like whole like love scene-y bullshit, and then immediately she's like, I know who you are. Tell Control I want to, you know, and it's just like, oh, nice. Like it pops the balloon of that like love story fucking bullshit, which is like fine. I'm glad that they like each other, but like she also is like, I gotta get out of here, you know. Like she's not a fucking idiot. She names Control is like, that's actually pretty badass, you know. And
That was pretty crazy, dude. Because it's like, how would she know that guy's title?
Yeah. So. Well, and that's the other thing, too, is many of the operations seem to be Carla just confusing the Brits for the sake of keeping the attention off of the Tailor, off of the mole.
Right.
So if you look at many of the different things as a way to divert attention from and distract and chicken feed bullshit to the Brits, because the actual important thing was getting to the Americans. Like, it's actually kind of interesting at just how much Carla played everybody, including Smiley with the whole wife and Colin Firth thing, you know?
No, I think that part is brilliant, dude.
So I could see Carla or someone Carla adjacent feeding the name Control to Elena or whatever, in order to bait something to happen, you know?
Sure.
Or set up that Operation Witchcraft stuff, you know?
Well, I mean, if they're already doing this whole thing just to get to the Americans, right, and it has nothing to do with the Brits, I mean, that in and of itself is like, it's like layers deep.
It's Inception.
Like, it's good.
It's another layer deep. Yeah. So there's lots of stuff with Tom Hardy that I really liked. I really liked that he was just like, in that first scene too, where he's with Smiley, and at that time it's unclear whether Tom Hardy is a double agent, and he's like, I'm innocent,
right?
He's like, and then he's like, I'm innocent of a sort, you know.
You're talking about when he's interviewing him.
Yeah, in the very early, in the early conversation. I think the early conversation in the stairwell before the interviewing stuff, I think.
Sure.
He says, I'm innocent, pause, of a sort. So he's like, the thing we're talking about I didn't do, but I've done plenty of other really bad shit. It's kind of like, I kind of like that.
Funny. Yeah, no, that was good. I like... Sorry.
No, you got it.
You were going to say... Oh, I was just going to say, since we're on the Bobs, I think I really liked the... Just to like get the focus away from the story and the freaking actors for like a second. Like, I really like the sets, especially the building that they operated out of. It had that very like that like industrial gray, you know, like
used to be like a fucking
like
steam engine warehouse or some shit, you know, like.
Kind of, yeah, but it also had that like industrial gray. We haven't changed anything since the 1950s. You know, it's like everything's 20-something years old. Right, exactly. I like that look of everything. You know what I mean? I mean, there wasn't really this movie was a lot of like interior shots. Right, it wasn't like a ton of like outside stuff. You know, you had Gary Oldman like swimming in the river a couple of times, but like the majority of it was in that headquarters, I guess. So like, I really liked that set a lot. It was good. It had like a sort of a oppressive kind of look to it too that I kind of thought was fitting, certainly for that era.
And it fits the idea of being scrappy, and it fits the idea of an empire that's kind of crumbling. My empire is crumbling. Can I have the room for a minute, please? We would be remiss while we're on the sets and inanimate objects if I didn't bring up the goddess, the Citroen DS that they drive around is such a magical car, dude. So I knew nothing about the Citroen DS, and but my ex Ash.
Oh, you're talking about the Citroen DS.
Citroen, yeah.
So
the Citroen DS is just a legendary car in the automotive world because the dude that designed it redesigned everything when building the car. And so the car had this like crazy hydraulic system where like each wheel had its own hydraulic system, and it was just notorious for falling apart, but it was just this completely like ridiculous moment in automotive history. And they're just like really beautiful cars, and I just love that they're cruising Citroen DSs around. The kind of like baby shit, monkey shit brown Citroen DS. It's just a gorgeous, gorgeous car. So shout out to the DS.
Yeah, those things were fantastic, man. I actually had a buddy on the island that had one, and he had restored it, and it was gorgeous, dude.
Yeah.
And it hung around for a while, like that version, certainly like 20 years.
Yeah, you know? And they're notoriously finicky, tons of maintenance, crazy ass systems, impossible to get parts for. Beautiful cars. So shout out to the Citroen.
Wow. Dude, you know what? This is kind of interesting about that car, real quick. It was introduced at the Paris Motor Show in '55, And during the 10 days, the DS took in 80,000 deposits, a record that stood for over 60 years until it was just eclipsed by the Model 3. Can you believe that?
No shit. That is interesting.
Isn't that cool?
That is cool. I mean, it's a beautiful car.
Those
Man.
are-
Like it's a unique story / engineering feat, but like the look is just that magical era of like late 60s or 60s beauty. Like there's just something about cars of that era that is so fucking beautiful, dude.
It was functionality. It was
Like the old Porsches, the
beauty.
old Ferraris, the old, all
It was
the
artistic
Aston Martins.
and it was functional,
Yeah.
and it was all these things wrapped into one. And it was when people like gave a shit about engineering, and they
They're
engineered
kind of like
it well.
handcrafted and stuff, like there's a lot of
Yeah, dude.
I don't know. There's just something magic about that era. So shout out to that.
Seriously, that thing was a rally car as well. Like, I mean, it did everything.
Yeah.
So cool.
In terms of the story, I really thought the scene with Esterhaus with the airplane flying in was like masterful cinema. So maybe we could talk about cinematography in a minute, but like it was masterful from a like capturing the audio as a fucking twin engine, Cessna 402 flies up in the background, and just the way that the plane
Is that
gets
what that
bigger and
was?
bigger. I think it was a 402. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
Wow.
Was just really interesting. And the guy, David Denick, I guess his name is. I'm not familiar with him, but the way that he goes from like, shit, like it's like the mobster thing. They stick him in the Citroen, and then Smiley gets in, and he's like, "Oh fuck!" Like mobster's gonna get shot in a field somewhere, out to a old World War II airfield, to then have the plane come fly in, to then be like, "You're gonna tell me everything, or I'm gonna fly you back to Moscow, where they're gonna fuck you up." And he just like falls apart, and he's like, "I'm not a traitor," like it's such a great scene, man. And he gets all the info out of him, and then for some reason I thought he was gonna be like, "You're all right, Esterhaus, you're back in," but that is not at all what's implied. They just, I reckon that they just chuck him on the plane and send him back, and that's it for him.
Right.
He chose the wrong side.
Yeah, that part was really intense, dude. Like, you're talking about the airfield at the end part,
Yeah,
right?
that's how they get the address
Yeah.
for the secret house where they do the
Yes.
Operation Witchcraft shit.
Yeah, that part was nuts, dude. That whole scene was really, really good, really intense. That guy that played opposite Oldman in that scene was excellent, dude. Excellent.
In the airplane scene?
Yeah.
Yeah, Esterhaus. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. This is really, really good. Crazy, dude. Yeah. What else? I'm trying to think what else.
I've got a nugget that we might have spoken about before, but I it's been so long since we spoke about it that I'm just pretending that we have never spoken about it. Toby
That's
Jones.
fine. I did not
Alaline.
read any nuggets. Yeah.
You know Toby Jones, the like weird looking Alaline dude? His dad, Toofer Howat, Freddie Jones.
What?
In the real lives.
Oh my god, dude. What?
Right? I was like, what?
I can't believe. Yeah, wow. I mean, Jones is
Jones,
like
man.
the
It
most
makes sense.
common. Like, Jones is like as far as white
Kinda
people
looks like him a
go.
little bit,
Jones,
too. Yeah, Jones is pretty
Jones and
vanilla.
Smith are like, they're so like common and vanilla. Yeah.
But yeah, I love that. I love that little actual twofer bloodline on a twofer. In a spycraft twofer. So it's not relevant to the movie, but I just thought it was cool. We might have talked about it before, but I don't think so.
Who cares? That was really good. Who gives a shit? Huh. Cool.
Maybe like the last bits or bob would be the gunshots. I liked Colin Firth's getting shot below the eye, cheekbone moment. And then the poor mother breastfeeding was a pretty crazy moment in the Hungarian cafe. There was just some kind of interesting gunshots, and it wasn't Tom Cruise-y fucking squib bullshit. I don't even know how realistic it is. I don't care, but I just liked the stylistic choice of how it was handled.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. I liked that. I liked how they kind of didn't focus on the blood and like just kind of underplayed the gunshots, sort of. Like, I dug that. Really dug it, actually. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, samesies.
So like when he gets shot in the head at the end, you know, it's just like, it just looks like a red dot, you know, and he just falls down, and you're not focused on the damn wound. You're focused on like what just happened, which is exactly how it should be.
More powerful. Yeah, I felt. Yeah.
Definitely more powerful, man. So yeah, good on him. That was
Have you ever seen the original Let the Right One In, the vampire movie?
No.
You should check that out.
Wait, what? Let the Right One In?
Yeah, the original. It's like in Swedish or Scandinavian or whatever.
Scandinavian.
So yeah, Thomas Alfredson, the director of this, is the director of Let the Right One In. This is his second movie, evidently. And Let the Right One In, when I was living in San Francisco, we've spoken about this briefly before, but when I was in San Francisco, there was it was like, I think it was called the Sony Metreon. There was a theater in the center of town that would show really indie kind of shit. And this movie must have been like a film festival-y thing or something, because I went and saw Let the Right One In with Devin, our friend Devin, and the director was there, and it was like a screening, and it was really cool. And like, I'm not really into that kind of horror-y shit, but it's you should check that out, like 100%. Like, after watching this, I'd be curious for you to watch that really close by and just see if there's any connective tissue, because it's a very, very different movie. But I didn't realize that it was the dude that directed that, so that was kind of cool. And like, he's hasn't done a lot of other stuff, but the cinematographer Van Hoytema, it's a tough name, but he did Let the Right One In, then some other stuff that I'm not familiar with. David O. Russell's The Fighter. Which one's that? Yeah, that's the Mackie Mac, Christian Bale. Then Tinker Tailor. But he did Her with Spike Jonze. Then he did Interstellar with Nolan. Then Spectre. Then Dunkirk. Then Ad Astra. Then Tenet. Then Nope. Then Oppenheimer. Won an Oscar. And he's now doing The Odyssey with Nolan. So,
damn, dude, that is a
it.
crazy string of movies, man.
And that's I'm not skipping. That's like one after the other. Her, Interstellar,
right?
Spectre,
No.
Dunkirk,
I know you're
Ad
not.
Astra, Tenet, Nope.
Yeah.
Bro.
Because that is
Good job,
nuts.
man. Because I really like the feel of this. You know, I like the feel of this one. Even just like, I don't know if it was shot at film or if they shot it digi, but like, it had that like old film style stock look. It had kind of washed out colors. It had great, like, there was one scene, like, if you watch it again tonight, in the opening scene, there's a Gary Oldman and I think Cumberbatch. No, it was probably Control. It was Gary Oldman and Control getting walked out of the building, and everyone's like, oh shit, the bosses are getting kicked out. And there's a scene when they get outside, and it's a fence, like an old cast iron steel fence, and there's a rectangle with Gary Oldman perfectly framed in the rectangle of the fence, and then on the other side of the screen, John Hurt is perfectly framed, and it's just like, man, there's just some real great cinematography in this. Which makes sense when you read the pedigree. You're like, oh, okay. These guys know what the fuck they're doing.
Yeah. No, 100%. I agree. It's beautifully shot. There's like I don't know, like a filter or a wash that gives it this look. It's probably the type of film that they shot with. It's great. I would assume it's film. It really, really looks good. Yeah, it probably is film. But it's goddamn, yeah, it's really good looking. It has this like kind of this grayness that kind of matches the feel of that office, that headquarters, that I don't know, I really like.
Totally. You must have seen Munich, yeah?
No.
You gotta watch that, dude.
Yeah, that's a Bana movie, right? Eric Bana.
Yeah, Spielberg, I think, right?
Right. Yeah, no, never seen it.
It's very much in this vein. Slow burn.
Sure.
Slow burn spy style.
Yeah.
Yeah, Spielberg. Really good. Cool. Yeah. Any other stuff?
No, that's all I got. We don't have any deaths either. We already kind of laid out any nuggets that we had.
I'm actually a double agent from another podcast.
Nice.
Now you have to shoot.
I hope it's a good one.
I hope it's one with more listeners.
Exactly right. Yeah. So skipping to recommendations, I would 100% recommend this movie. I think it's fantastic, and I can't wait to watch it again myself. So
I'm curious. I'm curious what people's opinions are. I caught us up on our Instagram post, so there's actually the ability to post on shit. But
oh, nice.
I'm curious what people's opinions are, because I could definitely see a world where this one is very not loved by people that don't like slow burns. So, not to be confused with pie burns, but yeah,
I would
slow
say
burns
there you go. Yeah,
might not be your thing. But I would say give it a try, give it a chance. You might fall asleep 7 times like Kev did, but eventually I think you'll be in the right headspace. But I agree, it's very, very good. And if you're into any sort of war-y, espionage-y, statecrafty thing, like it is A tier, if not fucking legendary.
Definitely,
Quality
and the
level.
actors are freaking A+
The
tier.
performances
So,
are
I
worth coming to the party for, yeah.
Exactly, but I will say that like the caveats to what we both said are it is slow burn, like Chad said, and information
Deluge
dense.
of information.
So be prepared to like
And be okay. I think it's like be okay with not knowing what the fuck is going on sometimes. I mean, I assume that you weren't rewinding it; you were just pushing through, right? So like, just fucking whatever.
Of course, so I didn't have
Just let
time.
it wash
I
over
did
you.
not have, I did not have time for turning. For rewinding it. No way.
Well, and I think like it's an interesting thing too, because like there's something you mentioned that you had to watch it in parts, which cool, whatever. Like no judgment here, but there's something magic about experiencing a film straight through, like you're in a theater. Like even if you got to take a pee, like you're gonna miss something. So like just like not rewinding and be like, what did they say? You know, like just like you can get that on the next watch. You know what I mean? I kind of like that idea. I like those experiences for myself. I'd prefer an uninterrupted watch if I can swing it. You know, if I don't have a kid coming in being fucking needy. Go watch YouTube. I'm watching this spy crap.
Yeah, right. Go watch some more of those YouTube videos I keep telling you not to watch.
Daddy's busy.
Yeah, right.
But yeah, I would recommend it. Nuggets. I read all the nuggets. There was some interesting shit, but I don't know. Whatever. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, I didn't read any of them. I don't really.
There's a lot of them.
I'm sure there are. I don't know. Whatever.
I am actually like really interested in maybe checking out the books, especially if there's a couple more books that are in
I'm
space,
very interested. Yeah, I'm very interested in checking out the books, dude. That
maybe like
sounds
an audio.
really,
There'd probably
really
be
cool.
good audiobook versions of them. I would imagine. You know, little yad work.
Could be. Yeah, no, audiobooks would be good. I'm kind of like, I don't know. I'm kind of getting the craving to like actually read again, like read books.
Yeah.
Like I've done so many. I just finished another audiobook about parenting and I'm just like, I want to read something.
I don't absorb as much when I listen to the audiobook as I do when I read it.
I feel like that's why I'm moving in that direction. Cause I was like, I don't know if I'm getting as much here. I mean, you know,
doing an audiobook like in a Hyperion or something, like one that I've already read, I feel like it's like a revisit. It's a nice way to revisit something you've read. Like, but I feel like I absorb a lot less on the first go around. So maybe that just means you listen to it twice, whatever. But
yeah, maybe, man, maybe you're right.
But I'm also an asshole that listens to audio at like 1.25 minimum.
Dude, you're so weird. Yeah, you're just weird. I don't
pour it into my brain.
I don't get that. All right, what are we doing next week?
Next week, we will be taking a week off. I'm out of town. Benny's got a gig, so we will be bumping to the following week. Sorry for the delay, but we'll see you soon. And that, as they say, is that.
So, I guess that's it. Thanks for joining us for Tinker, Tailor, Soldier, Spy. And we will not see you next week as nobody will be around. So, that's it. So long.
So yeah.
And that's going to wrap up this week's episode, folks. If you'd like to check out the show notes for this episode, you can do so in your podcast app of choice. Or at our website, ebd.fm/episodes/319. If you'd like to support the show, there's a number of great ways you can do so. You can rate us and review us. You can tell people to check out the show, or you can contribute directly on Patreon. So please do. We'd appreciate it. Also, want to check us out on social media? We're on Instagram at EBD Podcast. That's it. Thanks for joining us for Tinker Tailor. We'll see everybody in a couple of weeks. So long for now, folks.
One for C-Lab, two for Troy Eagle, three for Wolverine to round out the trio. In this episode, everybody dies.
Beady, beady, beady. Stop it, do it.
Nice.
Yeah.
Wiki. Oh, Graham Greene died.
Oh, get the fuck out of here. What?
Yeah.
How, dude?
Yesterday.
He's so young.
73.
Dude.
Long battle with an unspecified illness. It's a bummer.
That blows. That really freaking blows.
Yeah, it
dude.
really sucks, man. He's awesome.
God. So good, man.
No doubt.
I love Graham Greene, dude. I mean, like, I just love that guy. I just watched Thunderheart, dude.
That's why he
God,
died.
he's so damn good. Yeah. Such a bummer, man. Wow.
Yeah, it is a bummer. So, sorry
That
to
is a
be the
major
bearer of
bummer.
bad news, but
It's all right, dude. I mean, we just lost Terrence Stamp too. It's just like,
Yeah.
whatever. That guy was like one of my favorites, dude. Always.
no doubt.
Zod. I mean, Zod, bro. He was Zod, bro.
Zod, bro.
He was Zod, bro. He
Bro.
was Zod. Come on, bro.